Okay, it's a tough one for me today. I'm going to have to do this sort of lying down semi. It's May the 30th, and I'll start with 2017 and go back to 2015. We'll take it from there. Okay, let's see how things look. Something should not happen, but they do. In 1972, West Germany ransomed hostages taken by so-called Palestinians for $5 million. Lufthansa Flight 649 took off on the 22nd of February that year. The attack took place on the third stopover, leaving Delhi for Athens at 1 a.m. They landed in Yemen and negotiated with West Germany, who owned the aircraft. On board was a hostage, 19-year-old Joseph Kennedy, son of Robert Kennedy. The money was paid and no one died, but the Palestinian terrorists had the money to spend. And on the 30th of May, 1972, the Lod Airport Massacre resulted. Palestinian terrorists had brought Japanese Red Army to engage in a suicide mission. It was bungled. A much larger attack had been planned, but only the 3 Japanese Red Army did their thing and killed 26 and wounded 80. 2 Japanese Red Army died, but 1, Kōzō Okamoto, survived. The survivor was sentenced by Israel to life in jail, but 13 years later was traded for Israeli soldiers captured by terrorists. In 1973, Okamoto had claimed he had become Jewish in captivity and attempted to circumcise himself with nail clippers. After release, Okamoto went to Libya, then Syria, then Lebanon. He had not really converted. He rejoined the Japanese Red Army in Lebanon. Lebanon gave political asylum to Okamoto, who claimed Israel had tortured him. North Korea had helped facilitate the Lod Massacre. In 70, the siege of Jerusalem, Titus and his Roman legions breached the second wall of Jerusalem. The Jewish defenders retreated to the first wall. The Romans built a circumvallation, cutting down all trees within 15 kilometers. In 1381, beginning of the peasants' revolt in England, the peasants wanted lower taxes and an end to serfdom. They felt the free labor of serfdom impinged on their ability to work. As economists, the peasants were better than today's Australian Labour Party. John Ball had preached towards their rebellion, and so John was hanged, drawn, and quartered. The king was no gentleman, although his reign spanned the kingdom. In 1416, the Council of Constance, called by Emperor Sigismund, a supporter of anti-Pope John the 23rd, burned Jerome of Prague, following a trial for heresy. Jerome had promised Hus protection, but Hus had been burned at the stake, so Jerome was tortured and then burned at the stake too. The Catholic Church has since changed her mind on the issues Jerome raised. In 1431, the 100 Years' War in Rouen, France, the 19-year-old Joan of Arc was burned at the stake by an English-dominated tribunal. Roman Catholic Church remembers this day as the celebration of St. Joan of Arc. In 1434, Hussite Wars, Battle of Lipany, effectively ending the war. Ultraquist forces led by Diviz Borek of Militinek defeated and almost annihilated Taborite forces by Prokop the Great. In 1536, King Henry VIII of England married Jane Seymour, a lady-in-waiting to his first 2 wives. Jane had everything Henry wanted except a long life. She died in October the following year, leaving him a son and heir. In 1806, future U.S. President Andrew Jackson killed Charles Dickinson in a duel after Dickinson had accused Jackson's wife of bigamy. Dickinson had not said such things about Rachel, but if he had, they would have been true. Andrew Jackson married Rachel while she was married, and not divorced as they had thought. Jackson's dueling behavior, although successful, was viewed as despicable. Dickinson had to stand without moving while Jackson rechecked his gun and lined up the fatal shot. Jackson could have chosen to aim high. The actual issue had been a horse race. In 1832, the Rideau Canal in eastern Ontario was opened. In 1834, Joachim Antonio de Aguirre issued a law extinguishing all convents, monasteries, colleges, hospices, and any other house of the regular religious orders in Portugal, earning him the nickname of the Friar Killer. In 1842, John Francis attempted to murder Queen Victoria as she drove down Constitution Hill in London with Prince Albert. It was Francis's second attempt. He had tried the day before, too. Francis was convicted of high treason, sentenced to death, and the sentence was commuted to transportation for life. He was sent to Hobart, paroled, married a 16-year-old girl, and had lots of children. In 1868, Decoration Day, the predecessor modern Memorial Day, was observed in the United States for the first time by Commander-in-Chief of the Grand Army of the Republic, John A. Logan's proclamation on May the 5th.